Hey y'all, I'm Allison Asarch from Nashville, Tennessee.
Hey, I'm Sean Fraser from the Ritzy Kids.
Hunters, this is Johnny from Rail Motor.
Hey, it's Shane from Blind Season.
Hey, it's Rob Stanier, and you can check out my music on all the streaming platforms.
Check out my latest music on all the streaming sites.
Check out my debut album on all streaming platforms.
Check out our new debut album.
Check us out on Spotify and Apple Music. And you're listening to our friends, Braggy and Curly.
And my favorite bands from Australia.
My two favourite podcasters,
Braggy and Curly.
Braggy and Curly.
On the
Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast.
Right, let's get started, shall we? So, hey there, everyone. It's Curly here, and welcome to episode 157 of the Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast. Another great show for you tonight. We have got another one of these rising stars in the, I suppose, the fresh country music scene. We've got Tyla. I'm hoping I'm going to get your last name right, Rodrigues.
Perfect.
Awesome. We have got Tyla with us tonight. Welcome to the show, Tyla.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me on.
Excellent. We are so looking forward to having a chat with you because as a friend and fresh country star, it's a slightly different twist you're bringing out there. So I'm looking forward to exploring that to some of the stuff that we've talked about before. But before we do that, I'm going to introduce, of course, our two famous co-hosts, the two guys that really make this show hum along nowadays, who take great joy in competing with each other and talking over the top of each other. Of course, we've got Rossi from Sydney, and we've got Braggy, usually from Adelaide, who's now in Agnes Water on his tour of Central Queensland. How are you, boys?
Excellent. Fantastic. And I'm glad to see they've got internet in Agnes Water.
Yeah, but no lighting. Hey, look, I love coming here, especially leaving Adelaide, where it gets to a max of 12 at the moment. So it's good to come here. Although I got here, I think I brought the weather with me because it was like 8 degrees yesterday. I'm not sure if it's the same in Brisbane for Curly and Tyler, but it's a little chilly for me. And, you know, these places are made for the heat, not for the cold.
It's cold. It's cold in the capital of Australia too,
Sydney. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Sydney, yeah.
Marrickville, yeah.
Apparently on Sunday night at the football, 20 minutes away from where Canberra were playing South, so it was snowing.
Wow. Oh, truly?
Yeah. Well, Canberra was your place you shouldn't be going this time of year. That's all I can say.
100%. So, Braggy, quickly, What's happening? What's your tour all about? I know we're stirring you up, but you are actually on tour, aren't you?
It's not very exciting tour. It's just covers really with a few originals thrown in. But my good mate and a friend of the show, and you have to excuse me tonight because I've got a bit of the flu. So if I blow my nose, it's terrible. Waxy, who we've had on the show before, he lives here, the lucky bugger. He's retired, and every now and then he puts together, you know, like 8 or so gigs or 9 gigs, and I come up for 2 weeks, enjoy the warm weather, play some gigs around here, Bundaberg, and it's just fun.
Excellent.
You know, what else would you want to do?
Yeah, well, that's what we call it's a life, isn't it? It's
a life. Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. I can get to do it.
But no doubt missing the
Norwood Redlegs. The Norwood Redlegs.
Missing the Minister for Fun and Finance back home. Yes, I do.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, you slipped your leash, have you?
Yes, I think Yvette is happy for me to get out of the house for a couple of weeks. Get out.
And Redlegs had another win, I see.
Mate, they just cannot lose. Tyler, sorry, we're talking about sport here. It's my home football team from Adelaide. They play AFL. They're called the Redlegs. They're just Curly's been to a game. They're just Curly, 200 yards, walk up the road, 300 yards maybe.
Yeah.
And
sit on that cold hill, stand on that cold hill, have a cold pie and a warm beer. Yeah.
And I think we've got a premiership coming. I can't wait.
Yeah, it sounds good. And Rossi, I have to commend Pocket Watch on their series of breakthrough marketing events in the absolute 60s, like monkeys sort of a style. I'm loving it. And I guess they're loving producing that sort of.
Those boys have got the TikTok down pat, haven't they?
The boys are doing it all themselves. I stay out of the way, which is my favourite bit. I did have a bit part in one. I was driving the red car, but that's my only involvement. They're doing it all
Like a
themselves.
wiggle.
Yeah, exactly. I tell you that Murray Cook is actually his son is going out with my very good mate Barman's daughter.
Oh,
And on their very first date, he turned up in a big red car.
Oh.
Murray's a lovely fella. Murray's a very well known around Sydney and does lots of community work, but he also does lots of shows and turns up to a lot of shows. But you always spot him. He's 6'3", I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They're all lovely guys, I think, aren't they?
I think they are.
I sat next to Jeff on a plane once.
Did you?
Did he sleep?
Yeah. No, he wasn't slim. Everyone asked that. No. Because we actually backed the Cockroaches once in Townsville. We were like the not backing, but we were the support act.
They were very popular. Especially on the northern beaches of Sydney.
It was a lot of fun going to an old Cockroaches gig back in the 80s. And
it was a very good idea to go. As a single man, it was a good idea to go see the Cockroaches.
It was an incredibly good idea to go as a single man. So,
absolutely.
All right. I think I threw Braggy last week when I started off the interview, because usually that's his domain. So I apologize for that, Braggy. I sort of threw you out of kilter, but our special guest tonight is Tyla Rodrigues, and it's over to you, Braggy, to kickstart the question.
Tyler, they always get to me because I like to ask first how music started for you. What was the first time you thought to yourself, oh wow, this music thing, this is what I want to do? You got musical parents, or how did it happen for you?
Yeah, so my dad is very musical, man, and his whole side of the family were very, very musical. My dad is a drummer and a singer, and him and his cousins were in bands together, and everything you can think of, they did it. And my dad is Anglo-Indian, so he has a big family, and every one of them were loving music, especially country music, but also a lot of soul music and rhythm and blues and things like that. I was born and raised in Melbourne, Victoria, and R&B and that sort of style of music is really big there as well. So all of those things I grew up with, and I grew up singing as well. I was in the family choir at Christmas time, and we go to all of our relatives' houses and sing Christmas carols and all of those good things. And so from a very young age, I've been singing, and so for as long as I can remember, it's been a big part of my life.
Yeah, so you just don't know a time when there was no music. It was always people playing.
Correct. I couldn't even pinpoint really the moment where I was like, I love music, because it's just been a part of me for my entire life, which, and now I look at my life and just don't know what it would be like if it wasn't.
Yeah,
listening to what you're doing, and I think I've had a good listen to it, and when you read your backstory and they talk about it's real trad country, I can really hear all the traditional instruments in it, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. But it's evident that you're just a natural. It sounds like you've been doing it for a long time, and it just seems like we on this podcast we get a number of country performers. We get people from one end of the spectrum all the way up to the other, country pop all the way to, and you're more way past the middle of country pop back. I think you've got a beautiful voice.
Thank you.
Do you play instruments as well?
Look, I play guitar, but I know I'm amongst some very good guitar company here, guitarist company. I call myself a singer that can play guitar. Far from a guitarist.
Wow.
I taught myself guitar in the midst of COVID. I got to a point, obviously, I love singing. Singing is what I've done predominantly my whole life. And we got to COVID time, and I was locked in my house. We had just moved to Queensland. I did 1 week of school, and they said, okay, time to learn from home. And I was like, all right, I'm going to teach myself. I just want to be able to sing and play guitar for myself. And so that was kind of the spot I got to, but I love it. And I love how much there is to learn with guitar. As soon as I feel like I've finally gotten somewhere, there's 110 other things to learn, but it definitely keeps me busy. And so that's what I'd say, I guess, I play at the moment. My parents put me in guitar lessons and piano lessons when I was much younger, which I wish I paid a lot more attention to, and they probably do as well. But so,
yeah. I know that story.
Well, first of all, Tyler, you're not amongst any great guitar players here, so don't worry about that.
I come into the category of alleged guitar player.
Yeah.
I think I fall under that one too.
Yeah.
That's
I don't, they're calling you traditional country, but there's not much traditional country around, so it's kind of fresh.
It is, that's
what you're
thought,
doing. Wouldn't you agree, Rossi?
I agree. That's what grabbed me. Like I love the acoustic instruments, the trad instruments. That stuff really does it for me too.
Yeah, I mean, is that the only thing that's just the traditional? Like, it's got fiddle in it and stuff like that. Is that what makes it traditional? Do you think, Tyler, or is it? I don't know.
Look, and to be honest, it's a very good question. I think, especially nowadays, I think back in the 90s, country had a very specific sound. Like it had the pedal steel, it was very honky tonk. I think it was very, you hear a 90s country song and you just know it straight off the bat.
Yeah.
But I think nowadays, like it's a very fair question that you pose, because I think nowadays country has broadened very, it's been stretched, it's been molded, it's been remolded. There's country pop, there's country like rap that they're doing now, there's country
absolutely
sounds. So I can't necessarily answer that question for you. I don't really go into the studio or write something and think I want to write this to sound like this traditional country song and it needs to have these instruments in it. I honestly, and this is one of my favorite topics to talk about, because for a long time I really struggled with the idea of creating my sound and how I would do that and how I would put myself aside from someone else and all those type of things. And doing that as a new artist and someone that hadn't really made music, written music, or recorded music much at all, was something that actually really held me back, because I spent so much time trying to figure out how do I be different or how do I make my sound and be consistent in that I was kind of actually blocking my creativity, I found. And so I got to a point where I was just like, you know what, from now on, whatever I write, whatever I get in the studio and tell my producer I want to hear is my sound. If it's coming from me, it's my sound.
Absolutely.
And the minute that I stuck to that, I just really was getting all this feedback from people like, wow, this is really different and this is really new and this is something we haven't heard before. And so that's been something I really try to stick to. So I never really necessarily sit there and think, how do I make this traditional country? I just stick to what I love, stick to what I know, stick to what I grew up with, and kind of, like I said, get in the studio and let my sort of imagination run wild with whatever I've written, and whatever comes of that. If people think it's traditional, that's awesome, because I love traditional country. If people think it's not country and it's country hybrid, so be it. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's kind of my take on
that. It's unique, and I guess part of my query would be, who are your greatest influences when you because the other thing I find interesting, Tyler, is that you fundamentally write a lot of your music by yourself, right? So you're listed as the sole songwriter. We hear a lot more from, especially in the country world, about collabs and
massive collabs.
Massive collabs, and you're writing yourself. But I guess your influences are part of what you've listened to that's now creating what you're creating now. So let's start with influences. So who would you say personally influenced how you're creating music now?
Yeah, for sure. One of my favorite things about my musical upbringing is how diverse the music was that I was being exposed to. Like, I wasn't just listening to country. I wasn't just listening to a specific genre. I was really exposed to a lot. As I mentioned earlier, I was listening to Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin, Randy Travis, Vince Gill. I was listening to Michael Jackson. I was listening to, lots of different music. And I think, sorry, to narrow down your question, some of my main influences in country world would definitely be people like Randy Travis, Vince Gills, George Strait, all those guys. But having such exposure to all those different artists and different takes on music is what maybe really built who I am today.
Yeah, well, I agree with Curly that there's so many artists that are collabing and stuff, like you said, and you can really, I really like how some of your songs, there's no drums in some of them, which is just, I think that's just fantastic that everybody would want to put drums on some of those things. I mean, I'm going to zoom in on a song in a minute because that's what I like to do. And I'm going to zoom in on Straight Outlaw. Fuck, I love that song.
Oh, thank you.
Like when a song starts, the one to blame's hanging on your wall, take me as I am, or just don't take me at all. Fuck, man, I'm in there. You know?
Yeah.
And that's a very mature lyric. I don't know how old you are, Tyler.
Thank you. I'm 20. I'm 20.
Wow.
So, yeah.
It's great. So, I mean, we haven't got to talking about this, your last song, your latest one yet. But tell us about that one. I want to know more about that.
Straight Outlaw.
I like that. Straight Outlaw. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I guess first off, to address the no drums situation, that was, I guess, I wrote that song. It was a very angry period of my life that I wrote that song. But when I wrote that song, I honestly had zero intention of releasing it because it was so personal to me. It was so vulnerable. It was one of those ones, like, before I started writing songs, I was one of those people that whatever I was feeling, write it on a piece of paper, scrunch it up, throw it in the bin. Like, that's how I would deal with things.
A healthy process.
Yeah.
And then it got even healthier when I started putting them into songs and releasing them for everyone else to hear. That's how that song started. It was really vulnerable, really raw. I literally wrote the song in like half an hour, and I honestly did not make any edits to it. Whatever came out was, I just felt that's what it needed to be. And so I had no intention, like I said, of releasing that song. I just played it live at some of my shows just for the fun of it, just because I wanted to. And then I had some people come up to me. It only took one person. I say some people, but from the first person that said it to me, I was like, I'm going to release this song. One person came up to me and just said, that song resonates with me so much. They were like, I really, really resonate with that song, and that has helped me through some really rough times. And it, like I said, it only took one person, and I was like, I'm going to release it, because as a songwriter, that is like one of the biggest compliments I think I've ever gotten, when I can take an emotion that I was feeling, be super vulnerable and raw about it, and I guess be brave enough to share it, and then someone be brave enough to come to me and go, hey, that is what I needed to hear, or that got me through this, or I connect to that and I know exactly how you feel, which blows my mind every time, because it's like, as a human being, you go through things and you think, this is the worst thing ever. No one could go through anything like this. And when someone comes up to you and goes, thanks for sharing that, because it got me through that exact same thing, that was such a mind-blowing moment for me as a songwriter. And so I took it to the studio, and because of that comment, I did not want to make it. I wasn't sitting there going, I want this to get on the radio. I want this to go down playlists. I don't want this to chart. All I wanted was for the people that want to hear it, they can hear it. And so I literally got into the studio with my producer, Rusty Crook. He's a Tamworth gentleman. And I just said, again, going back to how good of a guitar player I am or am not, I was like, I just want to play it, because I know that how I play it really works with how I sing it, because I play it how I feel it when I'm singing it. And I recorded it like that. And then the electric guitar was purely because I was like, I want this to feel more angry, like it needs to. But yeah, I guess that's the story behind that song. And that's why I wanted to keep it as raw as I did.
The one to blame is hanging up on your wall. Take me as I am, or don't have me at all. It's a reckless heart. Well, it hasn't always been so cold. Took a whole lot of beating me down to get me this far gone. Because when push came to shove, you were good as gone. And the truth, it hurts when you're all alone. You turned me to the only life I'll ever know. No. Straight out.
That stream of consciousness in art, the songs that you write that just come flying out of the pen and don't make a change from the start to finish. That's like sometimes it's some of the greatest songs I've ever heard. I think. I don't know if I'm talking out of school, but like I live with a songwriter who's the same age as you actually, and that's his experience too. Like he writes songs, and knowing that I know what he's writing about, I hear him write songs, and I'm like, going, "Ooh, are you okay, mate? Like, you all right?" But it's kind of cathartic, right? And the song, once the song's out there, it loses a lot of its power. Like the anger's gone. It's the same as writing it and throwing it, or burning it and throwing it.
I was just going to say the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely correct. And most, like, ever since I started songwriting, I've had so much more respect for other songwriters too, because it's a very vulnerable position to be in, but it's also very therapeutic for songwriters, I've now learned, because it's a very similar deal. Like when I wrote that song, it just came out, it just kept coming out, and it just kept going and going. But now we're months on from me releasing it, and I look back and maybe I don't have those same feelings attached, but like I said, the power of being a songwriter is that someone else out there, whenever they get to that point of needing that song, hopefully it's there for them.
Yeah, once it's done, it doesn't belong to you anymore.
No, that's right. It's a thing that's out there. That's right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. That's very, very cool. It's also very grown up. Yeah,
I
know people who write songs at 30 and 40 who don't ever get that. Yeah, like they just don't get it. And you can tell, to be honest.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Braggy, the interesting thing when I heard Straight Outlaw, I automatically thought Braggy will love this song. So I just
love songs. I could tell it was written from the heart, and that's that's the key to songwriting. And it's hard. I know it seems like it flows out and it's easy to do, but it's not. It's not that hard to do because you really have to.
But it's that is that bearing your soul a little bit can be a bit confronting, especially when you first start doing it. I think
and very rewarding, as Taylor Swift finds out. Hey,
but how many good songs do you hear when someone's written when they're three chords and the truth? Like it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Now it's interesting. What I found interesting, Tyler, is that Way Out West and Straight Outlaw are completely different to Wish I Would. So walk me through that journey. So Straight Outlaw, you've sort of talked about, it's a real emotive piece, and I think the pace and the style of that really adds to that. But then Wish I Would is almost, as Rossi was sort of explaining, it's almost pushing into the envelope of wanting to be country pop or something like that, but not necessarily getting there. But it's so there's a journey there. I'm guessing.
Yeah, and all these songs are actually going to be part of my EP that I release in October 10th. That's coming out. It's my debut EP, so I'm very excited.
Awesome.
But that one's called Upon Reflection, and the reason I called it Upon Reflection is because all of these songs were written at a very different point of my life. And the past couple of years have been big ones for me personally. And, it kind of goes back to that whole thing with Straight Outlaws. It's like, you know, no one else is necessarily going to know or understand, I guess, what I've been through personally in the past couple of years. But all these songs kind of showcase a little snippet of what it's looked like for me. And so, um, Way Out West was at one period of my life where I was, feeling, I guess, sad, a bit down in the dumps. Straight Outlaws, a bit angrier. Wish I Would was then kind of, I guess, coming up on the rise of that roller coaster or that hill. And going back to what we were talking about before with collaboration, I got to write this song with one of my best friends, Brianna Dinsdale, who's a country music artist herself as well. And so overall, the whole experience around Wish I Would, the idea of it, writing it, getting it in the studio was just a fun, up tempo, feel good moment in my life. And that's what came out with this song.
We often have a bit of a laugh at the banjo's expense, but you can hear the banjo and the fiddle in there. And, I guess when people are talking traditional country, they are traditional country instruments, I'm presuming. So, but it's got a little bit of a rollicking beat going through it as well, which is what generates. So what is Wish I Would about? Let's talk me through the song itself.
Yeah, for sure. So Wish I Would, it all started with just the title in my phone. And when I initially kind of had the idea for it spark, it was kind of sparked from some people that weren't necessarily very supportive of me or the things I was doing or the goals that I was sort of aiming for. And it was a little bit of spite at the time. It was that sort of like, I guess, chick sort of, when
That's
I do,
you're talking my language. Spy.
Yeah, I just kind of had that little moment of like, well, I'm going to prove you wrong. Then, that little bit of, pushback sort of deal. I think everyone gets to that point where they get a bit sick of not being supported by certain people or necessarily believed in. And they really get to a time where you're just like, okay, I'm going to do it with or without you. And the idea for Wish I Would came at that exact time where, it did take me a while to feel like I could get to that point. Obviously when someone keeps telling you you're not going to do it, you can't do it, it's not going to happen, blah, blah, blah. You kind of believe them over time. You believe them. And then it takes your own self-strength and your own motivation to get to a point where you go, all right, I will prove you wrong and I am going to show you otherwise. And that's exactly when the idea for this song came along. And like I said, I couldn't have been happier to write it with my best friend because she is one of the people that were there supporting me and were there watching me kind of get over that and do it myself. And so, that's the story behind it. And so in releasing it, I just hoped and putting it in this EP, I hoped that through listening, if you listen from top to bottom and then you get to Wish I Would, and then hopefully that kind of takes people through that journey and then they go, oh, here she is doing it. You know what I mean?
Oh, we used to drive me crazy the way I pulled her right. No point in starting conversation, they'd always end up in a fight. So what's the matter, baby? I couldn't do a damn thing right or change your mind. 'Cause I was drunk, call you at 2 a.m. and you never did pick up. And when I talked about my plan, you just interrupt. I won't come crawling back even though I could. But I bet you're gonna wish I would. And it would drive you.
That's the kind of talk I like to hear.
Absolutely. And you can hear that spite in it. What's the line in the song where you're almost wanting the person to hold you tight or something. You can hear that there's that little bit, you're going to have regret about this, you know. It's
Yeah, exactly.
I'll show you.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about kind of, I guess, if you were to be faced with them again, and I'm sure they'd try and support you now that you've gotten there, and
Yeah.
it's just
Too late.
about,
$1 short and a day late, mate.
exactly, exactly. And it's like, well, I got here without you. What do you think I need with you now? Nothing.
Just on that, you know that I've always said, and it's been well documented, that if I put out a solo album, it'd be Peter Ross's Spiteful Act.
Rossi. So when you you just said you only been learning the guitar for a little bit, Tyler. When you write, do you write on the guitar, or you have it on the piano, or you just come up with lyrics and then how does it? I know every song's different, but what's a kind of a normal process for you?
Yeah, majority of the time it does look like me with my guitar. And I just fiddle around and muck around until I guess I get something that fits, or different melody lines or things like that. Sometimes like my voice memos on my phone is full of just me random little melodies here, there, and everywhere, that I then take to a better guitar player and say, "Hey, can you play this? Whatever this sounds like to you." um, but yeah, most times it does look like me just sitting down with my guitar, and lyrics are often what comes to me first, and then I'll end up finding a melody after that.
Sometimes it's good if you may be just learning an instrument, you're not that proficient on it. Sometimes that's a benefit when it comes, because you'll come up with stuff that's not, once you learn to play a bit, you just you start to mimic people, and it's
Hamstrung by rules.
Hamstrung by rules.
Yeah.
Rossi's he's got it. Yeah,
That's Rossi's second album coming out.
That's right. Hamstrung by rules.
By rules. Just hamstrung.
Absolutely. So Upon Reflection comes out on 10th of October, which is awesome. So when you say EP, how many songs will be on that?
So I've got 6 tracks on the EP. The whole song list has not been released yet, but the songs we've talked about so far will be on there. So there's 3 more
Awesome.
to go.
3 more to go. And I like the fact that you just said they all kind of relate to one certain, like a part of your life, which is what we kind of like here, that someone's making a bigger piece of art other than just a single,
narrative,
then a different
narrative
single and a
and
different
tale.
thing.
Yeah.
Because in this new world that we live in with streaming, that you don't see that as much, which so we like that.
Yeah.
And of course, I
Thank
live in that world of narkiness, and I think that 6 tracks is a mini album.
What's an album?
An EP's 4 tracks.
What's an album?
Album's 10 to 12.
Okay.
True. Mini album it is. But no, I really appreciate that. I think I've been sitting on the idea of releasing a body of work for a long time, but as a music lover first, before an artist, I've always admired albums, mini albums and EPs, and the way that you can listen through them and really feel the artist and what they were feeling to that time as well. I've always been, my biggest attraction to country music is the honesty in the lyrics. That's something that I've always loved, the storytelling in it as well. And so it was really important to me that if I was going to release a body of work, they were going to be 1, songs that I really stood by and believed in, but 2, songs that were honest and true as well. So I'm really excited to release.
Absolutely. I mean, if someone comes up to you for one song and says what they've said to you about Straight Outlaw, you take the classic albums like Rumors, and all those songs are there are all about that one time in that band's life when all the relationships were happening and all. It's such a great little window into
microcosm view of their world.
Yeah, I love it.
I love that. So like with your with your process, do you work with the same group of musicians often?
For live music or for recording?
Look, bit from column A, bit from column B.
Yeah. I have been really lucky to have great supportive musicians around me. I think from the beginning of my career, when I started doing my own thing and writing my own music and releasing my own music, I've been very lucky to have a very similar group of people kind of move with me from the start to where I am now. And I guess the best thing about that is that we've all gotten to grow and evolve together on this sort of journey. And that I've really loved, especially like in live music and also in the studio. I've been able to work. I work with a few producers now, but I wouldn't like not a lot, like really like only 3 or 4 at most. And so even all of those producers have gotten to evolve with me over time and watched my creativity and my direction grow as well. Um, and they have been great. Like I couldn't be more proud of the team and the group of people that are behind me. This whole music industry, doing music full stop, takes an absolute army from
Mm.
roadies who help me get all my gear in and out to the people that help me do the social media behind the scenes, and like you said, musicians live and in studio and all those things. It takes an absolute army, and I'm really lucky to say that everyone that has backed me has really believed in me and also stood by my stubbornness every time I say no. I don't want to just write a throwaway track. I don't want to release something that's just for radio charts. I want to, if I don't believe in the music that I'm releasing, I'm not going to sing it or perform it the way I need to anyway. And so I'm really lucky to have a good group of people that have really stood by that stubbornness too.
Fantastic.
And it seems to be resonating because looking at your numbers on Spotify, 47,000 monthly listeners. So
that's extremely good.
Very, very good.
Oh, thank you. I'm blown away by those numbers too. Every day that I look at it, I just can't believe that. And on my little artist app, I get to see where in the world people are listening to my music from, and it really does blow me away all the time. Like the fact that some silly song that I wrote in my bedroom or in the back of a car or in the shower came up within my head is now out in the world and someone's listening to it, and someone really, takes something from that music too. And it's a concept that still blows my mind and always will, I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, Tyler, we're going to stop the chat for a little bit and we're going to have a bit of trivia. All right. So are you ready to go? So Rossi is the acknowledged champion of all music trivia. And
Tyler, I try to make it pretty hard. So, some questions are easy,
really
but some are hard. So don't feel like Curly normally gets like 2 out of 10. So
yeah, so
it's out of 10. So don't worry. Oh, I didn't put a 50-50 question in for you today, Rossi. So at least you get one chance at one. Sorry. Okay, you ready? I'll give you that question again. Who is Steveland, and that's spelled Stevland, Steveland Hardaway Morris Judkins? That's the first question. Have a guess at that. See if you know. You all know who it is. So,
and he isn't the winger who played for St. George back in the 70s, Steve Morris.
He's not. No. I don't think this person would be any good at sport, actually.
Okay.
No, I'm sure he wouldn't be.
No.
Second question.
What band's first album was entitled Wide Open Spaces?
Why is that ringing a bell for me?
Because it's a great album.
It is?
Yep. It was the only CD I had in the car once on a trip from Townsville to Adelaide.
Oh.
My daughter knows every word to every song. Okay. Which band, I love this question, which band played their last concert on March the 1st, 1994, the same day Justin Bieber was born? Which band played their last concert on March the 1st, 1994, the same day Justin Bieber was born?
Tyler, believe it or not, this is a popular segment. People actually listen in just for the trivia, right?
Okay, question, what was that one? Go up to 4?
Yeah.
4. Yeah. Which 2 hit songs did Dolly Parton write on the same night?
Ooh.
Talk about stream of consciousness. 2 hit songs did Dolly Parton write on the same night. This is another cool question. It's if you know your history.
Yep.
Who performed in front of the crowd in Washington, D.C. before Martin Luther King made his famous I Have a Dream speech?
Ooh.
You like it, Rossi? Do you like the question?
I do like that.
I
Do you
do
know-
too.
Do you know who funded a lot of that event?
No.
Dr. Bill Cosby.
Really? Okay. Well, we'll leave that there.
Yeah.
Okay, number 6. Beyonce has won the most Grammys of all time. How many has she won? Question 7. Who is Gwen Stefani married to? You don't know that one, Curly? Question, whatever it is we're up to, I can't remember. How many octaves is the vocal range of Mariah Carey?
Ooh.
An octave, Curly, is 12. No.
So I'll just grab a number, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Country singer Darius Rucker was formerly lead singer of what band?
Darius Rucker.
That was question 9.
Yep.
And the last question is, what is the highest grossing musical of all time?
Ooh.
Musical.
Yeah. My favorite art form.
Oh, mine too. Musical theatre. I'm
I
there.
love it. It's mind-blowing.
Pretty phenomenal stuff.
Well, it's got everything. It's got all the other art forms in it. If you count the scenery, it's kind of like got visual art and stuff as well, you know? Anyway. Don't get me started on musicals.
Yeah.
Okay. You ready for the answers?
Yeah.
Okay. Stevland, Hardaway, Morris, Judkins is Stevie Wonder.
Stevie Wonder.
Really?
Yeah, I know. I didn't know that either till today.
I did not know
I
that.
did know. I did know that.
Rossi is
We're down
unbelievable. Hence why he would be that good at sport.
Yeah.
Um,
But he could drum,
and play a harmonica and
piano.
yeah, he's definitely a Renaissance man when it came to music.
He could play cricket. They
Oh, with the ball, with the bell and the
Yeah.
ball.
yeah.
And he could be a rugby league referee.
Yeah.
I don't know. Ask the bunker.
Bring me my cane. I don't know. Okay.
Number
What band's first album was Wide Open Spaces? That's the Dixie Chicks.
Oh, no. Yeah, I was going to say
Now they're
old name
called
or
the
new
Chicks.
name. The
The
Chicks.
Chicks now.
Yeah. They got cancelled by George Bush's mates.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
did.
I love
That's
the Chicks. I
unfair.
love that. I love that album too. It's just
They're good. They're
Yeah.
cool.
harmonies. The band is killer. Who's ever
They're
playing
just
on
called the
that
Chicks
record?
now, but aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, Chicks. I went and saw them in Adelaide. It was great.
So did I. Well, not in Adelaide, but I saw them when they came.
Oh, did you? And what's the girl that's the support? What was that girl?
El King.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
You guys know her, Rossi, El King?
No.
She's kind of bluesy as well. She's kind of got a
Yeah.
Oh man,
Real
she's
Southern
great.
rock kind of sound too.
Yeah. Okay. Nirvana played their last concert in 1994, the same day Justin Bieber was born. How's that for changing of the guard?
I'm going to get in trouble off Angus for not knowing that.
Okay. Dolly Parton on the same night wrote Jolene and I Will Always Love You.
Oh, I got Here You Go Again and Jolene.
Made a lot of money that
Here
night.
you go again. Did she write that?
Yeah.
Is that song? Here you go again, looking
That's
better
yeah.
than a body has.
She wrote everything, man, that woman. She's
Oh,
got talent.
man. Another Renaissance
I
artist.
wanted to go to Dollywood, you know, but we ran out of time.
I just want to see her.
You should go to Dollywood when you're in Nashville, Curly. Go to Dollywood.
Hollywood.
Yeah, do
Definitely.
it.
Get there.
Okay. So it was Bob Dylan who performed before Martin Luther King's famous speech. And I think he sang Blowing in the Wind or something like that. Or
Yeah.
the times are changing.
Yeah, I put status quo.
Whatever you want. I don't think the Americans have still understand status quo.
No.
Beyonce's won freaking 32 Grammys.
Oh,
No way.
Yeah. 32 Grammys. That's just insane. Share them around, girl. Gwen Stefani is married to Blake Shelton.
She is. I had her ex-husband, Gavin Rossdale.
She was married to Gavin Rossdale from, what was that band?
Bush,
yeah.
I got it wrong.
Mariah Carey has 5-octave range.
I put 16.
That's nearly that's most that's 3/4.
Yeah, it's outside the human. You can't hear that high.
Darius Rucker was in Hootie and the Blowfish. Yes. And The Lion King is the grossest selling musical of all time.
Wow.
Curly.
If you give me having Jolene without the other one, I got the grand total of 0.5.
Okay. That's a little below average for you.
It's because you left out the 50-50. That's not fair.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I forgot about the 50-50. I was under pressure today.
Okay, here's a 50-50. Did status quo open for Martin Luther King, yes or no?
False.
So you got one. There you go.
Tyler, how did you go?
I only got 4.
Oh, that's good.
That's good. That's more than most people get.
5.
Oh.
So you
4. It was close. So 5 between you two. Philly and Tyler 5 and Rossi 5.5. He still won. He still hasn't lost.
I know. You're getting me. You're getting close. I got to say, there were a couple in there that I had going, I don't know. It's getting better and better at this all the time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Don't get too mad at your father, Angus. So that Nirvana one was a bit out of left field, I think. So,
I should have known that.
Yeah. So, Tyler, tell us about your experience with Tamworth, because we our background is certainly not country music. We've got a country music correspondent that we call in on the show every now and again, who's right into the golden guitars. But no doubt you would have been to Tamworth and performed at Tamworth. So what's been your experiences with our country music capital of Australia?
Oh, Tamworth is incredible. I went to my first Tamworth 3 years ago now. Next year will be my 4th. And I went on that kind of funny one that they did straight after COVID finished down. So they did it in April. And I think it was so cool for me to experience that first one because honestly, every Tamworth since then has managed to exceed my expectations time and time again. And I think it's because coming out of, COVID, everybody was still a bit worried to come out and it was a bit, still a bit funny out in the world, and live music had been shut down for a really long time too. So this was some of people's first gigs back and things of that nature. But I don't think I could miss a Tamworth now at all, ever. I think I would have way too much FOMO. I would not want to miss out. But one of the greatest things about Tamworth Country Music Festival is the atmosphere. Everybody is just there because they love country music. They want to see it. They want to be part of it. They want to be amongst it. No matter what facet, whether you're a punter, whether you're a audience member, whether you're an artist, and whatever caliber. A real highlight for me about Tamworth is how open the artists are about supporting each other and lifting each other up. My first Tamworth ever, I was lucky enough to meet some of our top artists in Australia, like Andrew Swift and, Casey Chambers, Bill Chambers, and all those guys. And they were so open to just being incredibly supportive. And, hey, come watch this show, or come up for a song at this show, or, hey, we'll come and get to your show whenever you're playing. And so that's one of the greatest things as an artist, the feeling of just welcoming, and the whole atmosphere is incredible.
And we talk about Australia, Tamworth, and then there's the other big place in America called Nashville. And everyone we have on here from country always seems to want to go to Nashville and make it. I just want to know I know we've got Keith Urban. What's the secret to cracking that? What do you think it is like? Do they want to hear just the same? Because people go there and they do the writing sessions and they come in and it kind of sounds a little bit the same. And then you got people like we just mentioned, Casey Chambers, who's so different, but I don't think she's ever really cracked America. Even though she really is a different sounding country singer. What's the secret, do you reckon, to cracking the US market if you're an Australian? That's a big question, I know, but
I was going to say, if anyone else knows, please let me know too.
Send me a DM.
We don't know. That's why we're asking.
Yeah, no,
I think you're kind of on the right track by writing your own stuff and not. But I mean, do they really want you to? Is that what they want? They want you to go there and do the collab thing. Is that what they want?
Your plan didn't work, Braggy. Your plan didn't work. We'll get it out of someone. They'll tell us.
And when you find out, let me know too, please. But
yeah.
I obviously am not sure, but I just think from what I've seen and what I observe as, like I said, a music lover myself, is that I actually think it's the people that go there and do something different that they love. I look at, some of our biggest country music artists at the moment are people like Morgan Wallen came out first and started doing that, what they call the bro country type deal, where it's kind of like hip hoppy style.
Right, yeah.
Pop type deal. He came out and did that sort of soon after Florida Georgia Line, and that blew him up, and he went crazy doing that sort of style. Then you've got the other extreme, people like Tyler Childers and Zach Bryan, who did that super almost like alt country singer-songwriter style, really raw stripped back music, and that went really huge. And then you look at who else did I just have in mind? Then you've got people like Zach Top is another one who is now really rising to the top really quickly, doing the real traditional sound, like really 90s sounding country. And so I think from what I've observed that it's actually the people that end up going a bit off like the track that end up kind of rising to the top and above everything that's sounding, I guess, maybe similar. But they also do say that Nashville is a 10-year town, and so maybe you just got to do your time and keep on keeping on.
Yeah. You're such
10
a
years
scholar.
to become an overnight success.
You're such a scholar, Tyler, when it comes to
She's
genres
very
and the
sharp.
people and all the things. For a 20-year-old, geez, when I was 20, I was just trying to get home on Saturday morning without being arrested.
I'm not going to tell you what I was doing at 20. I'll tell you.
So, Tyler,
appreciate
Nashville, is Nashville part of your plans, or have you been before? Or
I haven't been before. It is absolutely part of my plan. I would love to get there. As I say, it's Music City and the home of country music, and I'd love to get to the Grand Ole Opry and the Ryman and all those type of venues where the greats, I guess, stood. And so Nashville is definitely a huge one on my bucket list. But I would also actually really love to get out to Texas and states like that. I think that's really where a lot of my, I guess, inspiration also comes from, is that, George Strait sound, the Miranda Lambert, all those real rootsy style country music. That's the home of all that sort of stuff too. And so as much as Nashville is absolutely on my list and I would love to get there, one of my biggest dreams is to get over there, get myself a UV, RV, whatever they call it, and just drive across from state to state and, New Orleans and all those spots like that, and get out and just to the roots of it all and hear it from where it was born and bred.
Don't forget Memphis with your soul stuff either.
And Memphis.
Don't forget Memphis.
Absolutely. I would love that. Love that.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it.
I've done that road trip and it's really doable. Really doable. It's really worth it.
Well, you've taken Rossi back to a period of his life, and you've taken me and Braggy into. I wonder how we could do that. So you've painted a very vivid picture there, Tyler.
Yeah.
Now, the last song I want to talk about, and I'm intrigued by this one as well, is Missed Calls.
Yeah.
I find it interesting because I was playing it to my wife. We went out just about to go for a walk, and it was just too cold and windy, so we came back. Sometimes we do that. And I was playing Missed Calls, And Sharon, because normally the day of the podcast, I'm playing the artist music, and Sharon says, "Is she a gospel singer?" And because we're listening to missed calls, and I said, "I don't think she is, because in Wish I Would, she talks about drunk phone calls at 4 a.m. So I'm not quite sure that would fit within the gospel genre. So talk to me about missed calls.
Yeah, sure. Honestly, this is a really, I say funny one because it's a very touchy subject. And obviously, like, I haven't openly really spoken much about it because I know religion is a very, personal subject. Some people are very religious, some people aren't. And so even when I released this song and wrote it, I was worried about releasing it because it was the second song I had ever released at all. And so I was really worried about, it's those things, people say don't ever talk about politics or religion or any of that because I'd never want to offend anybody as such. But now that you bring it up, it was interesting for me to write because I think I've always been someone that's a bit confused, I guess, religiously or spiritually, because I grew up in a fairly religious household. My dad's side of the family are fairly religious, whereas my mum's side isn't necessarily that religious. So I spent a lot of time when I was younger going to church and in a religious space. And then as I grew up, kind of moved away from that. And this song was actually inspired directly from another song, and it's called Daddy Doesn't Pray Anymore, and it's by Chris Stapleton. If you haven't heard it, it is a beautiful song. It is a beautiful song and goes right back to all that storytelling we were talking about. And I heard that song for the first time, and when I heard it, I went and wrote Missed Calls. And it's really funny because when you go and listen to Daddy Doesn't Pray Anymore, they're two polar opposite songs. So completely different. But I heard that song and it kind of just, I guess, got me thinking about my life spiritually and in the religious realm, because it was such a big part of my life and then wasn't. And the idea for that song, like I said, was triggered by this story, which was kind of about a man that was super religious his whole life. And then kind of, I guess, he passed away and kind of got dragged into other things that I guess weren't very religious of him. And then it was kind of all about how he was really far away from God and stopped praying as he got to those hard times in life. And so that song triggered the idea of, what if someone that maybe has been depending on God a lot and then all of a sudden maybe shies away from him. And then that whole kind of idea that's where that came from anyway. And so for me, it was just kind of that thought of, hey, I was super religious and I was really maybe spiritual, but I wasn't. And I wonder, that those were all the thoughts that kind of went into my head. And, the production side of things for that song, it at the time, it wasn't something that I thought about too much. I took too seriously, like personally. And so it was a song that I just wanted to, I guess, put a fun twist on because, like I said, I didn't want to delve into too much of politically as a new artist or to anyone else or offend anyone. It was just more, again, back to that personal sort of feelings and stories and how I felt about that whole idea of things. And that's what kind of came
anytime
out.
you can write a song that makes people think, like Curly just said, wow, that's, what is that? What's going on there? What's that about? That's a great
and the concept of missed calls, I think it's really thought-provoking for anyone to be listening to that. And I guess there's so many people out there that look to have, whatever their spirituality is or their divine supreme being that they're thinking of. And the concept of missed calls to that deity is just, I love the concept. I really did.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well done.
Jesus, don't answer my calls. Now he shows me right to the door. He don't answer my calls anymore.
so far. You've
Keep
done
at it.
incredible stuff for someone so at this early stage of your career. You're killing it. It's great.
Oh,
It really is.
yeah, thank you. No, it's really cool. You don't often get the chance to have people like just question you on your writing and also just want to know that deeper sort of thing. And it's really cool to talk about as an artist because, as I mentioned, you just sit in your room and it's all your thought process going into it. But then people, once it's out in the world, people take that and they put their own, I guess, spin and storyline on it and their own connections to it. And often your connection to it is just you kind of let go of it because it's someone else's now. So I really appreciate you all, I guess, picking my brain on it.
That's what you get when you come on a podcast with a bunch of old bastards.
Yeah,
But don't tell anyone what your songs are about. You just keep it to yourselves and let them figure it out for themselves.
We have had so many artists that don't talk about what the song's about because of that very reason. They keep it to themselves, and the songs become someone else's. So,
Or sometimes because it's not about anything.
yeah, absolutely. But we've appreciated having you on and talking through that. So you've got a huge run of dates coming. Well, sort of started, haven't you?
Yeah,
so what's on the agenda for you in the coming months?
Yeah, so I get to kick off my, I guess, Upon Reflection tour. So I'm actually touring my EP before the EP comes out. And the reason I did that is actually to get out there and do exactly what we did today. And I get to tell my stories before I guess people get them for themselves and make up their own minds on things. So I'm excited to get out there with the band and just play them for people and tell the stories behind it all. And then after that, I get to play some awesome festivals as well. I've got Texas Country Music Festival coming up and some more things that I can't speak about at the moment, but will all be on my website and my Instagram and Facebook and all those good things.
And we will have those links in our show notes. And I must say, I am really envious of anywhere that calls itself the Beer Shed. And you're playing there on the 21st of September. And how do I pronounce that town? Is it Lumai in New South Wales or Lumi? Limu?
Just say yes. That's
Can
right.
I see? Can I check that, please? Is it Lamia?
Lamia.
Lamia.
L-E-U-M-E-A-H.
That's Lamia. And can I say that I've already done gigs in Lamia?
Of course
But have you done it at the Beer Shed?
Well, it's when I was in Lamia, there wasn't much there.
Were they building a shed?
Well, Lamia is Western Sydney. It's sort of like out the back of Campbelltown. That part of Sydney is very, very built up, very busy nowadays. You'll have a great gig, from what I hear.
Absolutely. So we will have all those links, Tyler, in our show notes. And we certainly have appreciated. But hang around because we're just about to go to Rossi.
But hang on, we haven't asked Tyla that if she does get on the red carpet at Tamworth.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. I was leaving it to you, Curly.
We ask everybody we've had on because all the country stars we've had on have gone to. I said stars, so you're a star already. See, if you ever get on the red carpet at Tamworth, you have to give us a shout, not by name. You just got when they interview, you just got to say, "I just want to say hi to the boys." That's all you got to say. That's our ambition this year is to try and get someone
to do it
to say that.
Got it.
Beautiful.
I'll remember that.
Yeah,
right.
And
okay, now go on.
All right, Rossi, backstage story.
Look, there's a few because every time we're talking today, one was popping up. And right at the end there, I just have one about Lamia, but I'll leave that one for another day. Well, I'll give you a status quo story. I may have given you this one before.
No.
But, I was working for a band, and it was Mick and the Tribesmen. We're playing in Spain. It is Kenna Rock, which is a big festival. There's like 60,000 people there. And on the bill with the Blue Oyster Cult, Status Quo, Ozzy Osbourne, Twisted Sister, Steel Panther, and us. We're like, why are we here? Yeah, but anyway. Status Quo's lead singer, Francis Rossi, walks out on stage, and it's in the northwest of Spain, in the Basque country. And he walks out on stage, and he goes, and he speaks to them in Spanish. It was not well received because it's the Basque country. He's like,
they speak.
He comes out and speaks over in Spanish, and then he goes, Well, it's a nice bit of fucking Spanish you'll get out of me tonight. Anyway,
Right.
so Mick's, we're on this other stage across the road, and Mick's there, and he's gone, that didn't go well. Luckily for him, Chris, who's the guitar player, lived in Victoria, not far from Victoria Gasteiz in Vivero, which is part of the Basque country. So he's then hurriedly training Mick on how to welcome the
Speak
crowd
Basque.
in Basque, right? So
Yeah.
Mick walks out on stage and goes, bang, and the place erupts.
Awesome.
Know your audience. That's the trick. Know who you're talking to.
Message of that.
Yeah.
And I love that impersonation of Francis Rossi.
Francis Rossi, yeah.
That's the last bit of fucking Spanish you'll get out of me tonight.
I could just see him saying that too. So, all right. So, Tyler, thanks so much for joining us tonight. And I know that everyone will have enjoyed this episode. It's always lovely hearing fresh new artists like yourself, really, and authentic and songwriters. But it's just awesome. It's just amazing. So thank you so much for joining us. Your music has been added to the Unfiltered Undiscovered playlist on Spotify, and also our Fresh and Fierce Female Country Undiscovered Artists, I think the podcast playlist called. So we've added you to the playlist. So if you've liked the snippets that we've shared with you tonight, listeners, go out and follow Tyla on whatever streaming platform you desire. Get out to her gigs, get onto her merchandise. I've got no doubt that you are going to be a major star in the making. As for everyone else, if you've enjoyed the episode, please like and subscribe, leave a review. We really do appreciate you. We're on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. Not very well on TikTok, but we're there. We have our website at unfilteredundiscovered.com. And just my final thoughts is, how good was Auntie Jack? So see you next time. See you.
Auntie Jack. Tyler's going to go, who the hell is Auntie Jack?
Farewell, Auntie Jack. We know you'll be back. Though you're 10 feet tall, you don't scare us at all. You're big, bold and tough, but you're not so rough. There's a scream as you plummet away. Goodbye, me lovely. Remember, you better tune in next week to the show, because if you don't, I'll come round to your house and I'll rip your bloody arms off. And I will too. Don't forget it. She rides a black bike, I do, and drives through the night. She's big, round and fat, but don't dare tell her that. Oh, bloody well, cause she turns so mean, her glove starts to gleam. Then she'll scream as she plummets away. You want a good smack in the mouth? Oh, farewell, Auntie Jack. Don't you know you'll be back? Though you're 10 feet tall, you don't scare us at all. You're big, bold and tough, but you're not so rough. And there's a scream as you plummet away.
Anyway, we'll see. Curly,
and-
Rossi's usually the champ. He's always good. So it's up to you and Curly to try and beat Rossi combined.
All right.
Yeah. We had a tie last week with
It
Courtney.
was a good quiz. Very good
Well,
quiz.
yeah.
Well done, Bragg. You did a good
Yeah.
job.
That
Thank
was a
you.
great quiz.
Oh, it's very rarely I get a compliment, Tyler, from these two.
Can I
And-
say that and Braggy, that's a lovely top you're wearing.
Yeah, it's Cooper's.
Yeah.
I feel like a bit like you know how there's Where's Wally,
Yeah. It's the
Well,
Irish version.
Where's
Where's
Paddy?
Paddy?
Yeah. And the lighting's not your best,
Yeah,
Braggy.
that's not my fault though, mate.
That's okay.
I don't know what to do about that.
It actually looks a bit like 80s high school, American 80s high school movie top.
Me?
From where I'm sitting,
yeah, I get that. I can see that.
The old preppy stuff. So that's okay. But that's okay. Don't go changing.
Surf art in the background.
And Rossi, backstage story.
Yeah, I got one.
All right, awesome. All right.
I've reached into the archives tonight for a clean one.
Excellent.
A clean one. Okay.